Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Looking forward to talking with you about no-code security review. What should I review in application without code? Who am I? I'm Inaae Kim. I'm lead security engineer at Quark. I have been working on no-code security assessment over 2 years, and I also have helped a client to developing the digital transformation securely during the pandemic period. I'm also an AppSec engineer over 7 years and working on the web and mobile application. Previously, I was a software engineer developing the security tools and mobile application. For the disclaimer, the opinion expressed are solely by my own and do not express the view or opinion from my employer. This presentation is designed to give an overall security risk on the low-code, no-code platform or application built by on it. Therefore, I do not promote it or endorse any provider solutions. Yeah, before we start to what we are going to talking about, I have a couple of questions, you guys. Have you ever heard of a no-code or no-code? Anyone? Yeah. And does anyone actually using the no-code application, low-code application in your organization? Wow, that's a surprise. I thought it's only my team can use the no-code. Okay, so have you ever guys reviewed the no-code applications assessment? No? Okay, that's good. That's the reason you guys coming here. So those of you who don't know, don't worry about it. Today, I will cover all the things that low-code, no-code security review. So I have divided my presentation into 3 main parts. First is that what is the low-code application? And second is that what are the security risks, no-code, and how to prevent them? Lastly, I will guide you to how to conducting the security review of the no-code, low-code application. And we will also exercise together no-code security review. And also I'm gonna demonstrating how this security review automatically. Music is getting louder, so I have to speak up. So first thing is that, what's the software development trend in 2020? Anyone tell me what is the latest security software development trend? No one? Kubernetes? Yeah. Any other? Yeah, I will tell the answer. Is the popularity of low-code, no-code platform. And the reason is that business trying to looking a way to connecting their customer and users digitally. However, there is a challenging to make a digital transformation in their legacy program because they need to have a right IT budget and need a resource to building that digital transformation. However, during the COVID outbreak, it accelerating their needs to building the digital transformation. Because as you all know that COVID is enforced that millions of people work and learn from home. So therefore, the business need to working their service with the online. And according to the recent Gartner research, they predicted that 70% of new application building by enterprise, that we're going to be using the low-code platform technology for new application use. In 2020, they already use less than 20% of new application building by low-code, no-code technology. So why does business want to use the low-code technology? The reason is that we all know that there is a difficulty challenging in the traditional development. In the traditional development, software development, everything has to be coded by hand. It requires a lot of engineer to do building the application and also working on the very time-consuming process. It is also very challenging to updating your software after the application building on the production. So how can low-code, no-code can help the business to fast digital transformation? First thing is that a low-code platform allows the business user become a developer. We are called that developer, citizen developer, and It also speeds up the development process by allowing business users to creating their own business solution. They don't need to put all the pressure to the IT team, waiting them their queue to building the application. They can just accelerating the requirement gathering themselves, and then they save time to writing the code. Another advantage of using the low-code application is that it can save money. It is one of the best attractive why business want to use. They don't need to hiring the specialized engineer, and also they don't need to put additional legacy maintenance on their own application. So let's take a look at what is the key feature of the low-code, no-code platform. First thing is that drag-and-drop interface. Drag-and-drop interface is one of the core low-code, no-code platform features. Developer use the pre-built-in component and then just dragging to the whiteboard application. That's all. That's how to building the application. And it also providing the visual modeling. It will allows the every process is presented, and it will show the business work logic graphically in the platform. And it also providing the reusability. Low-code make very easy to building the repeatable application compared to the traditional one. User just copy and paste the application configuration from the previous existing template, or they can just downloading the industry business logic from marketplace. There is no need to extra dependency patchy or additional library required to running this application. Lastly, but most important key feature I want to share is the security. Most commercial no-code platform supporting the enterprise-grade solution, which means that they providing the comprehensive security feature such as the multi-factor authentication or single sign-on or SAML integration for centralized user management. It also protected the data, so that they definitely protected the data encryption in transit at rest. Also, it providing most of the platform providing the access log that what user trying to do in the platform and application. Now, let's take a look at the high-level difference between the traditional and low-code and no-code development. The picture shows that the traditional development is required 100% code needed. The less needed for the low code, and then there is a zero code needed, no code in developing the application. The more code needed means that the more professional developers are required, so that the professional developer can building very customized, flexible application on their own using manual coding. They can also choose their own technical stack, API, infrastructure, operation, whatever they want, so that they will be able to get the higher product control, how to building the application. On the other hand, low code or no code, they don't need to involving this process. They just use the platform what they're supporting. So it will less product control than the traditional one, but they will save time to maintain this kind of thing, so that they also don't need to writing the code. So the productivity is much higher than less low code or traditional development. Let's move on to the second part of our topic, is security concern. According to the Dark Reading survey in January 2020, they asked IT and security professional about what security concern do you have regarding the no-code, low-code platform. 32% response that they think that this application has no data governance, how to handle the user, how to handle the data, and how to accessing the data. And 26% say they don't trust this low-code, no-code platform vendors. Another 26% say they don't know how to check the vulnerability in the application. And 25% say IT or security team don't know what kind of application we're creating on the platform. The reason is that the business user, non-IT team, will managing this platform, so it will easily bypassing the engineering team software development process. And let me expanding the reason why they concern about the low-code, no-code platform use. I guess first main reason is that it reduces the security visibility and control on the application. While code are hidden from the platform user, the application use the third-party source code. However, users are hard to opt out the pre-built-in feature from the platform. Therefore, the application would inherit on third-party vulnerabilities from the platform. Also, the user has the minimum access to the vendor's source code or infrastructures. Like a cloud provider or any SaaS software provider, vendors do not share a complete view of their software and their internal system. And then there is no easy way to inspect their system and verify their integrity. The other main security concern is that lack of the security training among the citizen developer. Not every business user understanding application security like you guys, and the failure to security training and awareness would lead to data leak. Data breach become possible when the user misconfigure proper security control and also do not have a security mindset. You can also find the technical security and privacy risk of the local application in OWASP organization. I just found that, recently I found that OWASP also publishes local no-code security top 10 risk. I'm not gonna walk through each risk at this time, but I will talk about a few of them and then later while we are exercising security review. So let me briefly summarize what we talk about the security concern in the local no-code platform. First is that no-code does not mean the no vulnerability. There are inherent vulnerability from the third-party platform code, and also there are vulnerability happen by citizen user generate the misconfiguration in the platform. And also no-code does not mean the no security needed. You will need to working with the citizen developer to building the secure applications. So how to stay secure using the local no-code platform? Here are the mitigations to security risk of the local no-code platform. First thing, buy the platform from the trust vendor. You have to ensure that vendor have the third-party attest certification to represent their internal security practice and process. Second is that request the software bill of material from the vendor. It's called the SBOM. SBOM helps the organization determine if they are vulnerable to security vulnerability in the software component. It will mitigate the security concern of reduce the security visibility of the third-party source code. Third is that you have to training the citizen developer. Depending on your organization security program, you will need more security champion across the different departments. In the end, you need to integrate the security into application development. Each platform providing the different security control and configuration. Therefore, you need to make sure that understand how platform providing the security control to protect your application. You also ensure that the application following the industry security best practice. So, back to my topic title. What should I review in application without code? The application security engineer will need to review business logic and workflow or application configuration instead of the source code. That's a huge difference what you are going to do in the low-code, no-code development security review. You also need to train the citizen developer or business user instead of the product developer, professional developer, software engineer. Then application security engineer also involving that local SDLC process, like a traditional SDLC process. Here are the guidelines, what you should do in the local security review. First thing is that during the planning, make sure you understand the business requirement, and then find that how far the local security provider can protect your application, so that help the business stakeholder by purchasing the right platform. This is a very important step before you start the security review, because if they fail to providing security requirement, you will fail, because it is really challenging to integrate your own existing security control, or you may not get the ultimate security control to building on that. So you might need to have additional time, resource to building the extra security control, which is cost more than the traditional development process. And during the building phase, I highly recommend it to learn the platform. Like when you do the code review, you should learn that how the program language coding works. So you have to learn that how platform works, and then building the security best practice, security control on it. Do not rely on that security control setting by the citizen developer. Therefore, if you want to make sure that citizen developer to proper security control, set up the security control by default before the citizen developer using that application, and then train them to do not touch my security control on it. And during the verification phase, do your usual security testing. Only one difference in this phase between the traditional development security review and low-code, no-code is that you're not gonna do the code review. Instead of you will more focusing on the configuration review, and then do the dynamic security testing against your low-code application. Lastly, after you are running the application on the production, continuously maintain it using version control, also monitoring the application and the platform. From my experience, this life cycle way faster than traditional development. You might be doing this cycle within the 1 day, because they do not coding, they just updating the configuration. So cycle will be really fast. So you have to prepare that how to review this fast, like the development. So now let's do the security review together. Today we will exercise 2 low-code security review. I have been no-code application security review over 50 applications during last year and before pandemic, at the pandemic period. And I have working on a lot of citizen developer building application. And then those 2 security code review we are going to see is the most common security mistake from the citizen developer. So you might see the same security mistake from your citizen developer. First thing I want to show is the service integration in the platform. Here are the business requirements. Building the application that user can see their own data only from the third-party service. Here is the limitation. We're not going to be allow the user to authenticate the third-party service through the application. We will just creating the service account for the third-party service, then we will retrieve data using the service account. Then please guys keep focusing on this stuff. I'm gonna ask questions, and then I will throw out the swag for you guys. First thing, I'm gonna take a look at 2 areas. First is the service administration page, where the developer creating the service. And then second area I want to take a look is the application, where the developer adding the service. So now let's take a look at the service administration page first. So developer in the service administration part, they creating the service. So as you see that they adding the service name, and then they adding the service URL, what to connect. And here are the configuration. They actually disable allow service execution server side only, which means that it will allow to client side can execute directly this API. And then go to the manage access page, and it allows the global access services allow to other application to allow to access this service. One of the feature, local no-code platform, they supporting the multi-tenant application. So you can building multiple application in the same platform. Let's keep checking on the service account configuration. I check on that they are using the basic authentication method, and they are using 100%, I guess, personal account to set up the third-party connection. And that's all about the service administration review. And now let's move to the application configuration part. So developer adding the service we just creating, and then they adding the URL, URL query to what to retrieve in this application. Yeah, that's all I review. So let's start. Did you guys find the security issue in this configuration? Yeah. Can you speak up? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, could be, but it's still, yeah, industry is still using it. But yeah, thank you for answer. Yeah. Yeah. So in this configuration, all-in-one, have you guys find the security issue here? Yeah, true. Yeah. And any others? Yeah. Now, hint is that anything red and emphasize. Yeah. Then, yeah, let me. And I found the 4 vulnerability in this security configuration. First thing is the account impersonation. By using the personal account, application user will request the data with the developer's identity. If you go to the third-party service log, you will see that all the request comes from the single user. Another vulnerability I found that privilege escalations. By using the personal account first, if that personal account has admin privilege, or if you check on carefully what is the business requirement, is that they want to see the user's own data. If you are using the service account, you may get the another unauthorization data from them. And also, we did not adding the user parameter, so just pulling the older query, it will allow us to get retrieve more data than you expected. And as he mentioned about that, we also allow us to disable the server-side execution only, so that end user side they can discover this API, and then they will call that API and then adding the additional parameter to gain the additional information in it. That's about the privilege escalation vulnerability. And another one is that authorization misuse. I mentioned that this service is allowing the global access, which means even though your application, your platform want to using the single application in platform, but who knows that in the future you're gonna be adding the more application built in on the platform. In that case, those future applications will automatically grant access to this service. And the last vulnerability I found is data leakage. Adding the service integration to the application allows the data transfer from or to the platform. The hint is that service, when you create the service, developer creating the service. So if you have limited, you have internal team who trying to do some trying to pull in some data, and then if they have a permission to access service admin, they can pull in the applicant's data easily, just accessing this creation service administration page. So that there will be a chance to have data leakage. So next step is I'm gonna share how to remediating this security mistake. So I'm gonna guide them restrict the end user to access API directly by enabling the server-side security execution only. And also I allow to grant service access to applications that only need to perform the job, and always make sure that to no access by default. And last part of remediation in the service side, I'm gonna recommend it to creating the dedicated service account. If you are using the personal account to third-party integration, it will easily forget what security account are setting up in the production. Also, the application side, I highly recommend it to filter the query parameter with this setting the server-side security execution only. In this platform, either you can set up the server-side execution in the service level, or you can also set up in the application level. It's up to you. And what type of security control are needed for third-party integration? First thing is that added only approved service to the platform. I highly recommend it to set up the separate role between the developer and administration role, so that avoiding that developer to creating the service, adding into the application, it will easily bypassing the unapproved service into the application. Also, enforce the least privilege principle. Make sure that both the third-party side and the application side, you will only grant it access what you need to access. And also, keep monitoring the data traffic, both platform and third-party service. And training the developer on the risk of insecure third-party service. It is more chance that they will bring the insecure third-party service, such as they just adding on the FTP, or they trying to access insecure HTTP site. But if you are not training well to the citizen developer, this is happen really. Okay, so let's move to the second security review. I'm going to adding the security data, developer adding the security data, and then I see that hard-coded secret in plain text. What type of vulnerability you find it? What's the risk on this security mistake? Yeah, true. Yeah, it's correct, yeah. Yeah, so this is so simple. It's like the same thing on the hard-coded data in the source code. The same common mistake. It will be a data leakage. Anyone who can see this client ID or secret, either platform side or application side. This happens a lot more than the traditional development process, because the no-code platform will everything without, they do not writing code, but they will adding the configuration. So there is a lot of area to fill, adding the configuration. If the platform itself or the citizen developer are not training well, then they will put the secret key in the wrong place. So here are my remediation steps. I found that it is not just a secret key, but I see that they trying to adding the API connection inside the application. They trying to bypassing the service integration setting feature. I feel that this citizen developer doesn't know how to use the service integration. So I guided them to create the service and then move this secret to the service administration part where the service credentials are securely stored. Will be a different guidance depending on your business solution or the business use case, and also depending on how the platform supporting this secure storage. So what type of security control are we needed? First thing, obviously, reviews the application configuration, and also establish secure by default. Make sure that you always set up the security by default that will minimize to misconfiguration from the citizen developer, and that you will less time to training the citizen developer. They will already know that when they're using, if everything's set up secure, then they will learn how to use security control on it. Also follow the industry security best practice. Most of the local, no-code platform vendor will follow the industry best practice. So checking on their documentation or third-party service documentation and how they actually providing the setup their configuration securely. So we have walked through the manual configuration review now. Like you are doing the code review, manual code configuration review also very time-consuming and easily missing the vulnerability finding depending on the size of your configuration. Therefore, I will demonstrating how to improve the no-code security review. I have two methodology. First thing, I creating the script by myself and then running the rule against this configuration. Second thing is that I integrating these rules with the existing SaaS tool. I use the SendGrid to running my rules, my rule against this JSON file. Okay. Let me switch it to the monitors. Yeah, I have application in the no-code platform. Application usually not only for one template, they are consist of multiple application template. Then I'm gonna pick the one template configuration review for the demonstration. Click the one template right now. And as you see, it has a lot of components depending on your business requirement. And I actually adding the misconfiguration on purpose for the demo. So for example, updating the permission. Usually I set up the default permission, but here I actually in here, I actually updating the anomalous access to read-only. This is a red flag. Normally security doesn't want to allow the unauthorized user to access. So we will gonna be detecting this configuration. And then also I adding the third-party URL. And then we want to check that what kind of third-party URL service is in this configuration. And I also adding the file uploading component, and then actually forced to allow no restriction in the file formatting. So this means that allow any type of file format to uploading. And I have a couple of the service security misconfiguration, like the second security review, we saw that I adding the secret key in insecure place. I adding our security review demo in here. Another one, I adding the Google key here. one tip I want to share is that if you don't know where is the secure location to adding the secret key, if you see that the value is clear text, that's definitely not a secure place. So we take a look at the review, and in this platform allowed to downloading the application configuration, easily copy the module definition. So I copy the module definition. It is a JSON format. So I'm gonna creating the JSON file, sec demo. Then copy all the configuration. It actually has not only for the security setting, it has all the setting about the decoration stuff. So I save that JSON format, and let me show you my rule set, what I actually trying to checking on it. So I trying to checking on the permission check, and I know that this JSON format has the specific variable, so I checking on the variable and the value matching, such as the permission. If someone trying to changing, it will show in the JSON format. So I check someone trying to modify my secure control setting. Also, I also want to checking on the third-party service URL, and I'm creating the how to find the third-party URL Python script. So we're checking on the URL. I also checking on the file type. If they have no restriction, I'm gonna warning my security review. And I also adding the file pattern. If they are including the execution file, I'm gonna definitely fail. This is not what I want to. This doesn't meet my security requirement. Another one is that I'm gonna find the hard-coded secret key. I use the Troublehawk regex pattern, so we find the all type of secret API pattern. So I'm just running the Python script against the AppSec demo JSON file. Yeah, it's done. Do you guys know that how long does it take the manual security review of the GUI version? I'm checking on I'm actually reviewing very fast. I think depending on the 10 component, it will take at least more than 5 minutes. Then think about that this application have a 20 template, and then which means more than 100 minutes to checking every single one. But in this, with the automation script check, it is 1 second. So you will get the 20 seconds to review the 20 template. Let's check the result. So it will checking on the detecting the permission where they changing my default setting. It will also checking on the third-party URL. Any third-party URL they trying to adding. Also detecting any integration service. And also trying to checking on the file pattern when they trying to adding the no restriction or execution file. Here is I set up the no restriction, so it actually detecting the no restriction. And also find the security pattern. Adding the Google API key, that it will detect all the Google-related potential API key secret pattern. Also adding the Twilio API, so that I've also find the Twilio API. So this is about the debugging level. I checking on it, but usually I'm only checking on the analysis review based on my security requirement set. So it will either fail or warning. So you can go back to the configuration, checking that, determine the warning security review. That's about my manual security testing, my manual security script. And I'm going to show you that integrate with the SendGrid. So I found that the SendGrid, yes, it's a Python script I made it. Ah, okay. I slightly modify for AppSec demo. It is not the entire thing, but what I do is that I creating the rule, and then I have a rule engine, and then I have an engine and running the JSON. So if I adding that, which rule, what review type will need the rule, and then I'm gonna checking that, and also parsing the JSON file, whether they are mapping with the rule attribute, and then I will evaluating whether, such as the logic is not, so that I'm checking if the permission is not, the JSON value has no data, then I will returning the condition result. That's how I work on the result. I'm still working on it because it's very dynamic, so that it is easy to breaking the JSON parse. So that is the reason I'm trying to use the existing SaaS tool, such as the SendGrid. SendGrid has an awesome feature for creating the custom rule. And I also trying to find out, is there any SaaS tools supporting the no-code? And in my application, supporting the no-code configuration, save as a JSON format, and SendGrid supporting the JSON format rule matching. Therefore, I was able to create my own rules, and then I checking on the language as a JSON. So let me run the SendGrid rule against my AppSec demo. So that is the rule that checking on the file type violation. Yeah, so they also find the same thing. The results are the same. You can also use the pre-built-in SendGrid rules, such as find the Google API. Can copy the CLI. Yeah, they also find the same Google API while I write my own custom security scan. Yeah, that's all. I have a demo. This demonstration shows that there is a chance you can adding this security review in your CI/CD pipeline. Unfortunately, I'm still cannot find the right platform and security scan to integrate automatically. So you will still need to store this JSON file, like while you integrating the source code, you integrate directly to the Bitbucket to your SaaS tool. But in this process, until the vendor provide the SaaS scan or platform providing the right place to drop the configuration review, you will providing your own way to store this JSON file and then run the scan using the SendGrid or other SaaS tool. Before we have a Q&A question, here are the, I actually creating the GitHub repository for LCNC security material. I have not uploading this talk, but I will uploading my talk presentation at the end of today. We share through the AppSec Twitter handle. And I also wrote some documentation, and I also writing some extended OWASP no-code, low-code security risk on my experience, and I adding some more threat scenario on it. Please checking on it. And also, the second is that it is a useful resource about codeless architecture that my company is working on no-code, open standard no-code platform. So please checking out how it's working on, and I will hope that we all work together to building the open source standard low-code platform. Yeah, that's all about it. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions?
Hello. So I've got one quick question. So when you manually review any changes that have been done to the Loco platform, do you view like a diff, or do you just have to go through like every single screen to like find any potential changes that have been made?
For me, it's still I'm working on. I'm not building the 100% automation, so I'm checking like ad hoc base when the developer changing it, but you can run it whenever you want it, or like periodically checking the source code review, because still we do not have the. I don't have like a big pocket style CI/CD integration, but there is a way to run it.
So could they publish it between you checking it again?
Yeah, so whenever someone changes this application using the version control, you will hook the API to webhook to running that. If someone is changing, then run the security scan. Yeah, thank you.
When you added the query parameters to the API call, the context around how you're supposed to do that, is that well documented in the platform? Because a lot of business users don't necessarily understand that formatting.
The third-party service integration, the URL is actually third-party best practice documentation. Because the vendor doesn't know that what type of third-party service they're adding. They rely on that. What's the best practice of third-party integration?
Okay. So it's up to the business person to read that documentation and.
Yeah, so that's the reason I mentioned that you have to follow the industry best practice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.